Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Farms. Check it out. The fine folks here were kind enough to send me this heavier, dutier generator. Now they sent me a smaller unit that is really cool. It's like the equivalent of a Harbor Freight, the old tailgater, but an inverter version of that, and it's just an incredible little generator. This one here, a little more powerful, something you could probably run a lot more of your house. Like if you had a hurricane come through, and we're getting ready to get into that season, you could run a fridge and a deep freezer and all the lights in your house and a microwave and probably a TV or two and some fans if you needed to. I mean, that's the kind of power we're talking about here. But on top of that, and this is why I said, yeah, I'd like to do this, because I have something similar in size, a gas generator, an inverter generator. This one also runs on propane. And so we're going to unbox it. I'll go through it with you. We'll get it oiled up and everything. And then I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to hook it up to the propane tank that I have for our gas grill and run it off of that. So you may not realize this, but nearly every vehicle that comes with a carburetor can easily be converted to run on propane. And I mean, it's crazy, but this was back in the early 90s. I lived out west. And there is a Ford pickup truck 150 that had a huge old propane tank in the back, converted to run off of propane, because at the time propane was cheaper than gas, and the individual that owned the truck was headed up and down the coast all the way to Alaska and back. So it was pretty cool. You could make the whole trip. So propane running vehicles have been around for a long time. This is, it's cleaner burning too. It's just a little less powerful per cubic foot. So if you look at the numbers here, surge watts, 4,300 gas, 3,900 when we're working with propane. Running watts, 3,400 and 3,100 when we're running with propane. So just a little bit of a downgrade. But to be honest with you, those numbers on gas are probably 100% gas. And you know, we have ethanol. It's supposed to be 10% ethanol in our fuel now. Oftentimes it's more like 15, sometimes almost 20%, which is an outrage, but that's what they're doing to us and there's nothing we can do about it. Then, of course, in the future, that might get even worse, so we'll see how that plays out. But let's go ahead and get this unboxed here. And I will say it's a whole lot heavier than the other unit that I played with. And I'm just going to lay this stuff out right now. We'll get it all out. So it says dual fuel generator HMT4300ID, 120 volts. Amperage would be 28.3 with gas and 25.8 with LPG. DC voltage out 5 volts at 3 amps. Rated watts is 3,400 like we talked before. It is 60 hertz. It is single phase. It runs about 34 to 4,000 RPMs and has a max ambient temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, which is really hot. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. And let's just take a look here on the sides. It is got rubber feet on it. Huge carrying handle. I would say that is over 50 pounds, maybe right at 50 pounds. We'll look at the manual here and see. Pull cord on this side. Access port for spark plug here. And it's saying your unit has been shipped without oil. Add oil prior to starting or you're going to blow it up. It is 10W30. And it takes, looks like about half a liter. And then on the front here, and this is where the money's at, circuit breakers. We can set up a parallel setup here, so if you want more power. No, this is our USB type 2, and there's a C in there as well. This is where our propane is going to hook up, and I'll show you here in a second. It did come with it. Digital display and 2. Oh, that's a big one too. That's a 30 amp and a 20 amp and I love this, ground clamp. So I can hook a ground to it. You know, if you're on this channel, you're probably into radios. If you want to use something like this for a radio setup in an emergency, you want your equipment to be grounded. Same with computers, same with refrigerators, same with everything. If you got electronics, anything other than a fan or a light bulb, ground this thing and give yourself the extra level of protection against damaging your equipment. Okay, this one right here, cut this open carefully. And this is our propane hookup. Kind of curious to see how many feet they gave. Oh, I would say 6 or 7 feet, probably 7 feet. So we have a regulator, we have our hookup here, and this is something that looks to me like needs to be hooked up using a wrench. It is a flare nut fitting, but I would probably get a wrench on that, and I'm going to before starting that up, and we'll do that. But that just goes right there. Hook this to your 20-pound propane tank, and she's ready to run. It's pretty cool. All right, what else we have here? All right, this is threaded on the bottom side. This is how we're going to add our oil, so don't lose that. We do have a converter, and that's kind of cool. So that 30-amp plug to a different RV style plug there, so it does come with one of those in case yours is different. Nice enough for them to send a little tool kit. Not everyone has tools, so Phillips and a spark plug socket to get cases and covers off. We're going to do air filters, that kind of stuff, and of course when you first fill it up with oil. And then the manual itself, let's take a quick look at that, and we'll go. I won't fill it up on camera, but I'll get this thing filled up with oil, and we will we'll take it out and run it outside. I'm really curious to run it off propane. Haven't run a generator off propane ever that I'm aware of in my brain. 41 pages all in English. That's quite a bit of stuff. Adding and checking oil, checking fuel, grounding the generator, starting it so you can select your 2 fuel sources, maintenance schedule, oil level check, spark plug. Yeah, boy, this gets into it. And it has fuel sense, automatic fuel selection technology. So it should know that you're going to have what fuel you're going to have in it. And it does talk about this, which I'm above 3,000 feet. It talks about high altitude. Cool. Yeah, this is really well done. All right, well, I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to put some oil in this thing. We're going to drag it outside, hook up the propane, and we are going to fire it up. Let's do it. All right, well, we've got it hooked up. I turned the gas on here, got the cabling hooked up, or the hoses hooked up. No gas in this at all. It says it has smart sensing technology. I do have half a quart of 10W30 synthetic in here. It's currently on off. I don't know that it needs a choke, so we'll just put it on run, and let's see if it happens. Okay, wow. Yeah, I'd say that seems to work just fine. Man, that's quiet too. So I'm talking in a normal voice, standing right over it. I'll walk a few feet over, and here I am. You know, I would say 10 feet from it at most, but I could hold a conversation at this distance for sure. I'm walking around it. The exhaust here is at the back. A little louder perhaps in the back, you know, but not terrible. It's not vibrating at all. So the engine is of a quality design apparently. And you know, a 30-pound tank like that probably lasts 24 hours. Now they do make kits, and I don't know if I would recommend it, but for like our house, we have 250-gallon tank that's set up to heat our home in the wintertime, run our stove and such. You can get outlets if you want to have that professionally installed so that you could run this off of the big tank, in which case you're talking probably several weeks of runtime off a 250-gallon tank, or 500-gallon. A lot of the buried ones are 500-gallon. That's pretty awesome. And it's got a digital display up here. Let me see if I can get my glasses back on. 12.5 volts is what it's got, and it's showing zero watts of use. So that's kind of cool that it actually does know that stuff. I guess it's also worth noting that there's rubber covers for a lot of this, so while you may not want to use this in a driving rain, it looks like it could actually be used in a driving rain without much issue. Anyway, that's it. I'll leave a link to where you can get one of these. I appreciate HEOMAITO sending this my way. Never could have afforded something like this myself, and the fact that it has the propane, probably going to get rid of our other generator and keep the small one from these folks and this one as my 2 generators here on the property. Till next time, my friends, take care.